Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
On the programme this evening,
there is always a spike, an increase in anti-Semitism when Israel is involved in some sort of conflict, whatever the circumstances. But this is very, very different.
We need for the government to adopt a definition of Islamophobia so it becomes easier for the police and other institutions to actually deal with this.
Fear in many communities across the northwest as hate crimes against Jews and Muslims rise in the wake of war in the Middle East. We have a special report tonight.
how the sights and sounds of our big cities can help children learn from the painful history of the transatlantic slave trade.
From Soldier Soldier to Knutsford, Cheshire, the star actor, director and writer who's turning his hometown to Hollywood.
And it's that time of year again, the end of British summertime. The clocks will go back an hour in the early hours of Sunday morning. I'll have a full weather forecast a little bit later on.
So please stay with us for all of that. First tonight, children as young as 3 are being put through evacuation drills in school. Mothers have been stopped in the street and called terrorist sympathisers. Those are the terrifying consequences of a rise in racial and religious hate crimes affecting our Jewish and Muslim communities.
Yes, since the outbreak of war between Israel and Hamas less than 3 weeks ago, support groups say the number of anti-Semitic incidents and Islamophobic attacks is increasing each and every day. Emma Sweeney's been speaking to both communities and has this special report.
This is no ordinary sight, but for many these are no ordinary times. The heightened presence of police in the mainly Jewish area of Prestwich, evidence that the ripple effects of a war unfolding thousands of miles away are being felt here in the northwest.
It makes me feel very scared, very cautious. It's an extra stress on your day-to-day life. It's just very sad.
This man feels so vulnerable he's asked us to protect his identity. And this is how it's been for many in the Jewish community since Hamas's surprise attack on Israel earlier this month and Israel's subsequent retaliation.
People are withdrawing from identifying as being Jewish, not because they're not proud, because they're scared. One of my friends was in a supermarket and she got spat at and got called a dirty Jew in the kosher aisle just for wearing her Star of David. There's children as young as 3 doing evacuation drills in case a gunman comes inside a school or bomb threats. That was already routine, which is quite hard to believe, but now they've increased that due to the increased threat.
That increased threat is real. Since the start of the war, anti-Semitism has risen dramatically. One Jewish charity alone has recorded over 800 instances of abuse across the UK. That's an increase of almost 700% compared to the same period last year, with 141 of those in the northwest. Such is the concern about these numbers that last week the UK government pledged £3 million to help further boost security outside buildings such as synagogues and schools. Now, the Jewish community are used to having security, but they tell me there has never been a need for so much of it.
There is always a spike, an increase in anti-Semitism when Israel is involved in some sort of conflict, whatever the circumstances. But this is very, very different. As I say, the level of fear and anxiety, those who are not very sympathetic to us will use this opportunity to attack the community in a variety of ways.
Members of the region's Muslim community are also feeling vulnerable. Up until last Tuesday, one Muslim charity alone had recorded at least 400 incidents of abuse since the start of the war. 27 of those were in the northwest. These 2 women who've asked us to protect their identity have been at the receiving end of some of that abuse.
As I was driving, somebody indicated to wind down my window, so I wound down my window and my child was in the back, and instantly they started swearing and telling me to go back to my own country and calling me a terrorist sympathiser. I have no idea why. I was just really shocked, but I just turned my window back up and drove off. I was really, really scared.
Syra, tell me what happened in your case.
I went to the hospital appointment. I put myself in, sat down. I'm in the waiting area. The nurse in reception started talking about Muslims and terrorism, and they should get out, and the government should just not allow them to come here.
The president of Manchester's Central Mosque told me it is up to leaders in Westminster to help protect people from this type of abuse.
We need for the government to adopt a definition of Islamophobia so it becomes easier for the police and other institutions to actually deal with this head on. And until we have these solutions from the government, which is actually adopted then locally, I don't think we can actually eradicate these problems.
The war in the Middle East is continuing to intensify. As it does so, many here remain fearful of the spillover effects, fearful of beginning to feel like strangers on their own streets. Emma Sweeney, ITV News, Manchester.
And our thanks to those who bravely spoke out about their experiences to raise awareness of those issues. Two other stories making the headlines tonight, and the family and friends of a teenager who died when her school bus crashed have paid their last respects to her. Jessica Baker, who was 15, was killed in the incident on the M53 in Wirral, as was the bus driver. Mourners gathered at St Teresa's Catholic Church in Chester for the funeral. The order of service featured a picture of a rock climber in tribute to Jessica's passion for climbing. She was described as talented, dedicated, and someone who loved all sports.
This is very much a family, parish and community gathering that will remember Jessica and will be here to support her family in this moment of grief, and also encouraging them that they are remembered in the prayers and in the hearts of people across the country today.
Market traders have been forced to move out of Bury's indoor market today after dangerous concrete, also known as rack, was discovered. Almost 40 indoor traders are being moved to nearby premises, while the outdoor market and the fish and meat hall remains open. Safety work is due to be carried out, but there are fears the indoor market could stay closed in the run-up to Christmas.
It's catastrophic for my staff because people depend on me to pay the mortgage, pay the overheads, pay the electric, feed the kids, put food on the table. So it's them that's my initial concern, is if I can get somewhere to trade. I mean, they're doing the best with us, there's going to be no rates to pay, but it's irrelevant at the minute because you're not finding me anywhere to work.
We are immediately going to suspend rents, business rates and service charges for anyone affected, and we are looking to temporarily relocate them. As I say, we've managed to relocate around 16 traders already, around 19 more to go to identify, and we're going to continue to work with them.
Now, if you live or work in Liverpool, how often do you stop to take note of the cultural heritage and landmarks dotted around the city?
Well, a group of artists have made it their mission to educate people about the city's role in the slave trade.
And as part of Black History Month, they're staging walking tours to educate children about the city's past links with slavery.
Our reporter Lucille Brobby joins the youngsters of St Vincent de Paul Primary School on the tour.
In the heart of a city rich in history, a memorial tour is taking place, highlighting the work of Liverpool-born historian and activist Eric Lynch. Pupils from St Vincent de Paul Primary School are going on a slavery history tour led by Eric's son Andrew, a chance to explore Liverpool's iconic buildings and understand their links to the slave trade.
It's wonderful, literally walking in my father's footsteps with the slavery history tour. My father thought that Liverpool's links with the slave trade were basically ignored. It was buried and not seen as something salubrious, something that we should be talking about. Whereas for my father thought that this was a central thing in terms of understanding the growth of the city and understanding what racism was about.
Eric Scott Lynch first started his slavery history trails here in Liverpool in the 1970s, educating people from all walks of life about the city's links to the slave trade, including the buildings and institutions paid for by the slave economy.
And in Africa,
the pupils visited 3 iconic places, taking them on a journey through time.
So here right next to me is the River Mersey, and people from Africa were took to Liverpool right here, and we're forced to grow sugar canes and many other things for the people in Liverpool. It was really bad conditions because nobody would treat them like respectfully.
This is an example of a ship that was used for slavery to enslave people from places like India, China and Africa. And King John was really cruel, so he took over places like India, China and Africa.
When the tide came in, they shut the gates and left the ships in here still in water.
This is the old dock, and it helped bring 1.5 million people from Africa to Liverpool and then to America. Without them, all of these buildings and floor would have still not been built, and it could have been river because all of this was built by the slaves.
Back in the classroom, the children will take part in a new writing prize set up in Eric's name.
The writing prize would be very close to my father's heart because he was self-educated ultimately. He taught himself to write, he taught himself to read. So in terms of a legacy, an ongoing legacy, the combination of knowing about slavery history and the roots of racism and putting that into literary form couldn't be any better.
Eric died in 2021, aged 89, but his legacy lives on, a pioneering figure in the fight for recognition of black history in Liverpool. Lucille Brobby, ITV News.
I'll tell you what, the kids at St Vincent de Paul Primary are clever cookies, aren't they?
They're great.
Good facts.
Fantastic.
And fantastic walks. Go on one if you can. And here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Israeli tanks conduct a second night of raids on Hamas targets in Gaza, paving the way for a full invasion. It's as the UN warns the current aid levels in Gaza are nothing more than crumbs, and figures suggest 7,000 people have been killed, 70% women and children. Also, a suspected gunman still at large. Armed police continue to search the US state of Maine after 18 people are killed in a mass shooting. And the health worker, part of Britain's biggest ever prison drug smuggling ring, now herself behind bars. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now to the Northwest actor who swapped being in front of the camera for telling powerful stories from behind it. You may remember Ian Curtis from programmes like Holby City and Soldier Soldier. He's written a short film and is directing it in Cheshire right now. It's called Hide, and it tackles the issue of foster care and teenage carers.
Ian wants to shine a light on the current foster care system after events in his own family, and he feels so strongly about it that he's even self-funded the first phase of the film. The cast and crew are all doing their bit too and are giving their time for free. Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore's been to a muddy field in Knutsford, not as glamorous as normal, to watch the film take shape.
Action!
Ian, the sun has come out for you here, filming in beautiful Knutsford for your film.
Well, we've just had a storm that is just about, I think it was about 5 o'clock yesterday morning. It stopped and the sun came out, and we've got an amazing rainbow over the start of the day. So it was exciting. Luckily, Cheshire's sorted itself out for us, and we've got amazing sunshine in October, which is amazing.
And then run this way, past camera.
Tell us about the film. You've written this and you're directing it as well.
This film is a real passion project for me. It's about fostering. My mum was fostered and my aunt was fostered when they were children, and they were separated in the fostering system as well. I sort of took a dive into this to find out how things had changed from the 1950s and to what was going in the fostering system now. And it's also about teenage carers.
A lot of people will recognise you.
I was in Soldier Soldier and I was in Holby City as well. I already knew then that I wanted to write and direct, so for the last 15 years or so I've been behind the camera instead of in front of it.
Niamh, what a lovely morning to be here shooting in Knutsford.
I've never been to this part of the north. I live about 50 minutes away from here, and it's really gorgeous. I mean, you drive through and it's so picturesque and kind of sounds like a nursery rhyme and looks like one as well.
If you start taking drugs again, you won't stop. Say you won't.
I won't.
It's a deathbed promise.
And people will recognise you from Hollyoaks. You played Juliet. She died on screen in the summer. It was quite harrowing scenes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people might recognise me. I don't know. Growing up essentially working class and from the north, you're never told that there's opportunities to be an actor. So when you get steady work, it's a massive risk to leave. I felt really brave taking another step.
You are very brave, yes.
Abby, who's my character, she's taken the kids away and she's essentially kidnapped them to take them away because she believes that she's the one that can protect them, look after them, and she's what's best for them. This moment she has where she remembers her mum and misses her, that's why there's a woman in pyjamas, because that's her mum.
When can we see Hyde?
We're making this as a short film. We hope it's going to go out to the film festivals. Whenever I look into the stories that I want to tell, it all goes back to my childhood, a working class lad from Stockport. And it's about women as well, because I was raised by a single mum. And this is about single mums out there who are raising children on their own.
You've got your inner girl power.
I'm a feminist through and through.
Do you know your first line?
Hyde.
Film's called Hyde and your first line is Hyde.
Today is, yes.
Well, you're not going to forget that, are you?
I hope not. That would be pretty poor. Hyde!
We look forward to seeing the finished article. It's time for sport now, and after the saddest of weeks in football, further tributes are planned this weekend. Here's Mike to tell us more.
Yeah, an incredibly sad week for football as a whole, but particularly for Manchester United and Everton. Throughout the week, both clubs have been mourning the loss of two gentlemen of the game in United legend Sir Bobby Charlton and Everton's chairman Bill Kenwright. Both clubs will continue to pay their respects this weekend before the Manchester derby at Old Trafford and Everton's match at West Ham. David Chisnall reports.
We're just going to observe a moment's silence to pay respect to our chairman Bill Kenwright.
A minute's silence at Everton's press conference today. The latest tribute to the club's chairman Bill Kenwright, who passed away on Monday.
It's a grand old team to play for.
The 78-year-old will further be remembered ahead of Everton's game at West Ham on Sunday, where there'll be a minute's applause. Managers Sean Dyche and David Moyes will both lay wreaths.
I thought he was a perfect gentleman and always had. I always enjoyed listening to him about his stories, about his own life, not about necessarily just Everton Football Club and myself and the team. He was nothing but supportive, even through some hard times. You know, he's been someone to pick up the phone to. Always got time for you.
At the London Stadium, England's World Cup winner Sir Geoff Hurst will lay a wreath for his 1966 teammate Sir Bobby Charlton, who also passed away this week. While at the Manchester derby, there'll be a minute's applause for the Manchester United legend. Tributes were paid to Sir Bobby ahead of United's Champions League game at home to FC Copenhagen on Tuesday. United won that match thanks to a penalty save from Andre Onana, and he's supporting his teammate Alejandro Garnacho, who could be in trouble for a celebratory social media post that included gorilla emojis. Today, though, the United boss says he's not concerned about a potential ban.
Not in this moment, so we are talking with FA, but yeah, what you see, and I can confirm that, and I want to emphasize that we are together, we are united, and you will have seen that at the post of Andre Onana.
Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says the club will show respect at the derby. It comes after two supporters were banned for offensive chanting about Sir Bobby Charlton.
They don't represent us. What represent is Mike Summerby going to Old Trafford to sign the book on behalf of Manchester City. So we have a huge respect for Man United, and especially the icon, the figure from Sir Bobby Charlton. Tomorrow we'll be part of that, and our condolences, where we said families and Man United and English football always is and will be there.
Football hopes to show the best of itself this weekend as it honours two of the great gentlemen of the game. David Chisnall, ITV News.
Well, today, Liverpool legend Sir Kenny Dalglish made the trip to Old Trafford to lay a tribute to Sir Bobby Charlton. He placed flowers in front of the Holy Trinity statue with a note reading, "Rest in peace, old friend," from everyone at Liverpool Football Club. Both he and Jurgen Klopp also signed United's Book of Condolence. There'll be a minute's applause at Anfield ahead of Sunday's fixture with Nottingham Forest. Vincent Kompany insists he won't panic as Burnley desperately try to pick up some points. His side have won just once in the Premier League this season and sit in the relegation zone. Tomorrow they face another team in the bottom three. They're at Bournemouth.
Rightly so, it gets mentioned, are you worried, are you this, are you that? But I'm
my mindset doesn't work like this. I'm incapable of doing that. My thing is, okay, stay consistent, work hard, and other people who worry and panic, you'll benefit from that. Let them do that, but it's not in my nature.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
Sale Shark star Manu Tuilagi says England have plenty of motivation to end the Rugby World Cup on a high tonight. After losing in the semi-finals last weekend, they face Argentina in a playoff for third place in the tournament. With a number of England players likely to retire after tonight's match, Tuilagi says it's important to end with a win.
Sadly, some things, or good things, must come to an end. There'll be quite a few of the boys that is their last week, their last training session, last game. So we want to make it good for them and set a platform for the next boys that are coming.
And you can see that game live here on ITV1 from 7:30 tonight. Finally, for the first time in nearly a year, Tyson Fury returns to the boxing ring this weekend. Morecambe's world heavyweight champion is in Saudi Arabia, where tomorrow night he hopes to avoid embarrassment as he takes on former UFC champion Francis Ngannou in a lucrative crossover bout.
They say the finest form of flattery is imitation. And he's got his suit on with no shirt on, and I started that, so he's imitating. And there's one thing I will say is many will imitate, but not one will ever replicate. Because there's only one Gypsy King. Yes!
And I so very nearly went suit with no shirt tonight as well. That would have been really embarrassing, wouldn't it?
That would have been so embarrassing. I think you probably could have pulled it off.
I doubt it very much, Rob.
I'm blushing. I'm sure he's shy at heart.
Oh,
anyway.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you. Now, we heard from Mike just then about the Northwest Rugby Stars in the World Cup playoff tonight, but there's also a teenager from Blackburn taking part in tomorrow's final in Paris.
Yeah, rugby-mad 14-year-old Jacob Pickering has been chosen to take the ball onto the pitch ahead of the big game between New Zealand and South Africa.
Jacob plays for Blackburn Rugby Union Football Club and, before jetting off to Paris, he spoke to Andrew Fletcher.
Well, sadly, England didn't make it to the World Cup final, but there will be one Englishman walking out onto the pitch at the Stade de France. Jacob Pickering from Blackburn, a young rugby player, and Jacob, come and join me. Tell me what you're going to be doing at the World Cup final.
I'll be carrying the ball out, and it will be an amazing opportunity. I've been picked because I'm a defender trailblazer. It's because of my love for rugby. And
you play rugby despite you were born without a left forearm, but you still play the game every week and you love playing rugby.
I love everything about it. I love being there with my friends and tackling, and I love the game.
And you've been chosen, as you say, as one of these inspirational figures. You've even got a statue made of you, which you had to pose for. What was that like?
It was amazing seeing it first time. Like once in a lifetime opportunity. It was just amazing.
Now, the final tomorrow, England won't be there. That must be a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I'm sad that England isn't there, but I want New Zealand to win.
You're going to be supporting New Zealand?
Supporting New Zealand.
And it should be a fantastic final.
It'll be a fantastic game.
Okay.
Really good game.
And you will, once you've taken the ball onto the pitch, you will hopefully get a great seat in the stadium to watch it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this game.
Okay, brilliant. Jacob, thank you. I'll let you go and join your brother, and let's have a word with Dad. Dave, come over here. You must be so proud of Jacob.
Amazingly proud, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Everything he's doing is brilliant. It's been like a whirlwind.
And of course, as the parent of a sports mad kid, there must be a lot of work for you involved ferrying him around to matches.
Yeah, he's all over the place really. He's down at Blackburn obviously, so they play all over Lancashire and into Yorkshire, so yeah, but he loves it, he enjoys it.
And I guess it's all worth it when he gets you a ticket to the World Cup final. Dave, thank you very much. Enjoy the match tomorrow. And Jacob, well, tomorrow night, ITV, New Zealand against South Africa, the World Cup final. And before that, Jacob taking the ball onto the pitch.
I wonder how many times they practiced that bit at the end.
I do wonder. I suspect not very much. He seems very, very good.
Very best of luck, Jacob. What a fantastic honour.
Let's get the weather. Here's Jack.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Welcome to the weekend. Looking unsettled weather-wise over the next few days and into the new week, with low pressure in charge of the UK's weather. Here in the northwest, there'll be spells of showery rain, some sunshine to come, and there could be a few problems with fog as we go through the next couple of nights, particularly on Transpennine routes as there was last night. As you can see on the temperature contour sequence, nothing too chilly over the next few days, but as we get through into Monday, colder air is trying to dig in from the north across Scotland and the north of England, and that will lend a slightly chillier feel to our weather from around Monday and Tuesday onwards. In the meantime, tonight we're free from frost, but you can see some thick fog patches up on higher ground, but also in low-lying areas as we go through the course of the night. Some showery rain here and there, particularly for southern counties as we go through the early hours of tomorrow morning. And temperature-wise, 7 or 8 Celsius with a very light wind across the northwest. On to tomorrow, the sun will be up at 8:02 and it sets at around 5:45 tomorrow evening. Tomorrow, a bit of a cloudy start. We've got that fog to contend with and showery rain across the northwest to start the day. In fact, skies will brighten by lunchtime. We'll see a little bit of sunshine before perhaps it clouds up again, and showers move up from the Midlands as we head towards tomorrow evening, and there will be a spell of rain to come. Ahead of that, though, temperatures could get to around 13 Celsius, which is about average for the time of year. Tomorrow evening, from the southwest, we have a band of showery rain moving up across most places. That'll be quite heavy for a time, but it clears through quite promptly. Sunday will be a day of showers and some sunshine for our part of the world, turning a bit chillier next week. Bye-bye.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Joe, thanks very much. I'm back with the late news, which is a little later than normal at about 11:10, but I'm not complaining. Don't feel sorry for me. You're going home.
I am going home, which is always nice. Although to darker nights, what a joy that's going to be from the weekend on. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Good night.